Hello and welcome to this Come to Jesus Daily devotional where we continue in our God's Vision for the Church series. And this week we've been reflecting on this theme of the church being God's family. And today we want to think about this idea that a loving family is God's vision for the church. Let's read from John 13:34 to 35. A new command I give you, love one another as I have loved you. So you must love one another. By this everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. And notice he's talking there to the disciples. And of course we've got to love the world, but the emphasis here is love one another. And by this, the world, those around us, will see Jesus, will see me in you, and will know that you are my disciples. One of the proofs of the resurrection is that we love like Christ because his Spirit is in us. So this is so important. In studies in what are called blue zones, communities that regularly live over 100 years, I'm not sure I'd want that, but anyway, communities that live over 100 years, a key factor in that is two things: community engagement and a sense of purpose. Both things are vital for health. People who live over 100 years, normally, they have community engagement and they have purpose. And we can see here the wisdom of God can be applied even outside the church. So how much more should the church be involved in their community? There should be devotion to community, and there should be obviously purpose as well. When we think about the church, what comes to mind? Amongst the many things that the Bible talks about regarding the church, family, being a loving family, is a crucial theme. And Paul, in his great poetic speech on love from 1 Corinthians 13 says this, 1 Corinthians 13, 1-3. If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains but have not love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast but do not have love, I gain nothing. Do we see that we can be the most charismatic, we can be the most socially active, we can be the most miracle working community, you name whatever attribute it is, but if we don't love one another, if we're not this loving family, then we are nothing. Our adoption into God's family is to be accompanied by this seeking to build a loving church family. Paul likens this obligation to an unpayable debt in Romans 13, 8-9. Let no debt remain outstanding except the continuing debt to love one another, for whoever loves has fulfilled the law. The commandments: you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not covet, whatever other command there may be, are summed up in this one command: love your neighbor as yourself. Paul is teaching that just as we're to be scrupulous in paying back our debts, so we are to be scrupulous and pay back the debt. I mean, we don't really have a debt, but he's using this illustration, isn't he? That like Christ continues to love us, we're to continue to love our church family. And if we've been hurt, if we've been sidelined, upset, become cynical, it is challenging to be in a church family. To be close to people does create tensions. But today, let's be reminded that the Father wants you and I to forgive and to be like him and to seek to build this loving church family. Jesus says these challenging words. What are the children of God like? We could ask. What are they like? What are children of God like? Well, he says this in Matthew 5:9. Blessed are the peacemakers. They will be called children of God. Are we peacemakers? We're building a peaceful church community. So in response, God's vision for the church is that we build a loving family that's devoted to one another. How is Jesus' love for his church being expressed through us? Is Jesus' love for his church in us? Are we building a devoted family? Are we allowing unforgiveness to fester? Are we taking the initiative to build deep friendships? As we finish, let's remind ourselves that our love for his church is seen in the devoted, sacrificial relationship between Christ and his church that's modelled in Christ, who after washing his disciples' feet, he washed his disciples' feet. Imagine that, washing, how can we serve the church? This is what Jesus did. He acted like a servant. He washed his disciples' feet. And then he said in John 13:34, our reading today, a new command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. God bless you.